You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today. We have another show lineup for y'all. We're going to talk to Steve Griggs. When you think about landscaping, let me redo that. When you think about landscaping and you think about picture flowers, shrubs, and maybe the new patio, we have an expert for you today. For nearly 40 years, he's been turning outdoor spaces into works of arts, masterpieces. And we're going to reflect on his journey. We're going to learn about his lifestyle, what are some of his memories from the hard knocks of life, especially as an entrepreneur going through all those rapid changes. And to this day, I'm sure he's facing challenges just like any other CEO out there. But he's been featured in Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, and even Bravo's Backyard Envy. He knows what he's doing. First and foremost, I want to say to our guest today, Steve Griggs, thanks for your time, man. I know your calendar's full, but I appreciate you on here today.
Appreciate it, man. Humbled to be here. I was looking at the guest list and all that, man. I was getting nervous reading it, so I figured I'd just turn it off and just tune in. And
wow, you are a special guest.
Speak from the heart, Brian. Just speak from the heart. That's it.
You are a special guest today. You are in the thick of things as a businessman, so I know you have something great to add to our audience. When you think about being outside, the lifestyle, taking care of the parents, if you will, you know what the trends are. You've been in the ups and downs of business. How do you help clients uncover what can really be the potential for landscaping?
So it's really we don't consider landscaping. Basically, we're transforming people's lives. So like before COVID came, people went outside, but not as much as now. Now it's like a necessity. Like they have to have that outdoor space for a sense of their soul, right? So everybody has to have their own sense of a personal space, if you will. Everybody's got to be outside. I don't care what you say. It's good for the soul. It's good for your mindset. It's good for all that. So how we transform the spaces is we listen to the clients, we let them talk, tell them their wants, their needs, and then from there it's like art form, right? So some artists sculpt, some artists paint, some artists write music. My canvas is your backyard. So, been very fortunate for being able to do this for 40 years. I'm the OG in this business, man. No kidding.
I mean, those features are pretty good, man. Not too many people can get in those features. So let's talk about the process of success and what that actually means to you. When you think about the beginning chapters in business, what did that look like for you when you just got started? And what were some of the things you learned along the way?
Oh, man, you just see it all the time. Everybody's flashing on Instagram and flexing on Instagram, but, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now. Man, it's lonely. It's hard. Like you never know. We talked about this before. Like you never know when your next paycheck's going to come. I think you have to, I have a wife and 2 children. It was never, 2008. I've been doing this a while. In 2008, when the stock market tanked, I got 2 cars repossessed, baby seats taken out. And I think just having the resiliency not to quit. Like you hear it so often, never give up, don't quit. But I'm that guy that never just quit. I don't know why, maybe just hard-headedness, but yeah, I've been doing this a long time, man, long time. I love it still. I love it. It's like game day this morning. We did a post on social media, like the machines show up, clients there, like it's putting in a new swimming pool. They're so excited. The little kids are excited. So I still get a lot of joy out of it.
And that separates what people see, the highlights, if you will, from influencers and possibly biggest brands in the world. We see the highlight results, but we don't see all the behind the scenes that built that momentum to have that amazing post or that ad. Kind of explain for new entrepreneurs the breakdown difference between what people see online, polished version, versus the real nitty-gritty.
You got to get paid. You got to charge enough to make a profit. So if something goes wrong, you can fix it. For years, I never valued myself, right? So it goes back to like that whole mindset thing when you're growing up in just a working class family. Like when somebody would write a check, the first time somebody wrote me $100,000 check for one of my jobs, like it was like paying a phone bill, man. I just could not get my head around it. And that was in my own head, right? So, if you're afraid to, you got to raise up your values to that standard. Otherwise, you're still going to be left picking up the peanuts, right? So first and foremost, I had to get out of my own way, right? That was big changes. That didn't happen until over the last 15 years, right? Where growing up, like you're always saying, can't afford this, can't afford that, turn the lights off, working class family. That's how you're brought up, but it's all mindset stuff. And it's really true, that stuff. You see it a lot on the internet, but it's true. You gotta fix the mind first. Gotta fix the mind first before you get into that whole other end of the business.
When you think about, maybe from a visual standpoint, getting beyond those blinders and you start attracting some big clients, you design for multi-million dollar homes. How do you balance luxury with still being authentic with who you are behind that brand logo?
I would say that, boy, when you get to that level, people get a little intimidated by dealing with celebrities, athletes, and stuff like that. But they just want to be treated fair. They want to be treated fair. They don't want to get robbed. They worked hard for their money. And what I find is those people are the hardest working people like you would ever think. You think they just ride around and collect checks. They work hard, constantly working. Whether it's a business owner, a finance guy, an athlete, a celebrity, they work. It's not just showing up on TV and getting a paycheck. They've got to put the work in.
You know what it takes to make everything look good outside. And for those who are watching this right now, they're probably going to be like, hey, Shema, you better ask them for some tips or some things that
what do you want?
What could someone do, not just hire you, but what can someone do to give them a better look outside based on what you've seen trending or just by experience?
It's very simple. So we do some work in New York City where you're very restricted to space, so you have to think of the space. And then we do work on regular middle-class homes. Then we work on the higher-end homes. I think the whole space is you have to make sure that you figure out what the space wants to feel like to you, right? Like I want to go outside. I want to feel like I'm in Las Vegas, so that I know it's got to be glitzy. I want to feel like I'm at the Ritz-Carlton, so that's a different look, clean lines, very contemporary. I want to feel like I'm in a Zen flower garden, so I'll take it from there to kind of get that vibe. Even if you have a small space outside, you can make it your own space. You got to put your own personal signature stamp on it, right? It could be a little 5x5 terrace on a building in Manhattan, right? So whatever makes you feel good, flowers that smell good, plants that smell good, grasses that blow in the wind. It's all sense of the feeling that you get from being in that space to quiet the mind. I mean, that's just about as simple and then you have the kids involved and all that. So it's all, how do you design it for the family with the dog and the 3 kids and all? So, but we're talking about for the person themselves to get outside and to feel you're connecting a little bit with nature. Very important nowadays, man, for your mind.
Once again, listening and watching us online, Are We Focused Radio, talking to our guest today, Steve Griggs, all about landscaping. My next question for you is, you also are known for being candid about the industry. What are some of the biggest myths that people need to know about landscaping design that you would like to bust right now?
So what I like to tell clients is sometimes they squabble about the design fee, right? Why do I want to pay you to design the project? I only want a little patio and all. But what the design does, it gives you a graphical representation of what the backyard is supposed to look like. So I tell clients, you want to know what the project's going to cost you when we're halfway through or before we start. So when you have it all laid out, they get a good idea of exactly what it's going to cost, right? So that's another thing that's really helped us out a lot.
People are always excited for something new. When you are in the process of working with the customer and working out their vision for the project, are there any tough times where you have to say, maybe not that way, maybe this way? Or do you go all in with what they envision?
I'm from New York. We always tell it like it is. Like, if I think that's why they're hiring you, right? They're hiring the expert. Like a lot of the most difficult clients are like, I find like doctors are difficult because they're very educated and all, but I have no problem telling them stay in their lane. They appreciate the honesty. Like, listen, stay in the lane. It's a terrible idea, and this is why, right? And then a lot of clients, they don't know, they're uneducated, so they pick the lowest price guy, right? Which is a big mistake, right? So yeah, I have to be very candid and very upfront. And I think clients, some of those clients are just used to being around so many people that just yes them all the time, and it's good. They're a little refreshing that they get a little pushback because they're used to just people agreeing with them whatever they say. So that's actually helped me. It's actually helped me.
Let's dig in that a little bit more, because as a business that is trying to scale, you know what it takes to scale. Why is it important for business owners to have that tough skin, to kind of stick to their guns, so to speak, that, hey, this is the best way, or knowing when it's time to move on from a client and say, maybe you should go with someone else?
Yeah, so we call those red flags, right? So we interviewing a client. You want to make sure you're a good fit, right? Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. But you want to feel that when you meet the client that you have that synergy with them, that you guys are, on the same wavelength, that I understand their vision, right? So I got to listen a lot. And if we're not a good fit, I just tell them, like, thank you for the opportunity, but it's not the right opportunity. And another thing you were talking about, like, I've had to learn to say no a lot. Like, saying no is hard, but saying no opens you up for another opportunity. It's hard to say no when you got payroll and you got that, but I've had to learn to stay in my lane and do what I do best and say no to those projects that are just not a good fit.
When you're managing resources to do the job, and because every job can be huge or it can be mid-sized, it can be very easy, turn the knob and boom, we're done. What do you do with your team to stay on point, understanding what we might need for a particular job so it stays organized?
So we obviously have the project managers and the people in the office that keep the job on focus. But for me, I need to be the cheerleader of that group. Like, so sometimes there's 25 guys on a job, right? And I have to be the conductor of the orchestra to make that whole thing come together. And it's challenging at times. If anybody that's been in the construction business, coordinating different trades and subcontractors and making sure the job comes out right. But there has to be just one guy in charge, and I'm that guy. Like, they're paying me to be that guy, not just the guy, that guy. Like, you got to be the guy. If you're in business, you're starting out, you need to become the guy, not just another landscaper guy that digs holes. They don't pay me to dig holes. They pay me to think, right? They pay me to think, create the vision. That separates us, because they're going to pay for that vision. And a lot of people can just draw a pretty picture on a plan, but you have to be able to execute that project. That's key. If
you had to look back, is there any story that comes to mind where you had to correct something? Maybe there was a mistake or a misunderstanding or something happened and you had to go back and fix it. If so, what was that and what did you learn from it? Pick one. I got hundreds. Like, one that just pops to mind. We were doing a job in Brooklyn. We had to redo some pavement in the sidewalk, and it had cones and barriers up, and people just walk right through the concrete. Like, they just don't see. They just move the cape and they just walk through. I had to fix it. Another project that comes to mind is that we had an 8-foot retaining wall fall down of a storm and filled his pool up with mud. Right. So I told the guy, you may not want to come to your summer house this weekend. There's been a little accident, but I got you. I'm covered. And I think they need to feel that trust that you have their back no matter what. Don't point the finger. Don't blame it on the rain. Nobody wants to hear your excuses and your stories. You got to be the guy, step up and resolve it. Yeah, it cost me $100,000 out of pocket. But I think from that lesson, I was able to turn, what they say, lemon into lemonade. So, anybody can post great pictures. Anybody can get good reviews. You want to know what? Give me the bad stuff. Tell me how you, just like you said, tell me how you had a bad problem go bad. Oh, they hit a gas line, they hit an electric line. Like, I got stories like, forget it. It doesn't end. But you got to become the guy to switch hats and, damage control, right? And that's what they look to you for. That's been a big game changer also.
because things do go wrong in construction all the time.
And that's why we have you on, because I've known just the common thread, the amount of interviews that we've been able to do on Refocus Radio. I always tell people there's a common thread. If you look at all the interviews, the same thing happens. There's a challenge, and then there's a decision. And
challenge and there's a decision. Explain that.
Yep. Because, like you said, when those things happen, it makes your future jobs better. Because now you're in a better position to prepare for what could happen and understand what it means to work under pressure when there's a challenge that you have to face head on versus trying to sweep underneath the rug and hope and pray that nothing bad happens further.
Man, just this week, when you dig into somebody's property, when you dig a hole in somebody's property, you have to call for what's known as a mark out, where the utilities company comes and they mark out where the underground electric is and the gas and all that. For whatever reason, it didn't get marked out, and the guy took 2 scoops and ripped out the client's electric, and it knocked out the whole neighborhood. This is 2 days ago. Knocked out the whole neighborhood. Instead of freaking out, I stayed with the client all day, and we made sure the electric company came and it got fixed. I was there from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, but it got done. And instead of just freaking out on the contractor guy, I try to become more of a leader. I mean, you could freak out and just, why'd you do this? Yell at him. But I try to do it as a learning experience. I listen, this is what has to happen in the future so it doesn't happen again. That's what will make me upset if we do something and it messes up. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting, if it happens again, it's like, come on, guys. So that's a challenge, is dealing with people. So I'm in the people business, right? I'm in the people business. That's what we do. We got to deal with, in residential, especially with residential on that higher end, they expect certain things done a certain way.
And to your point, things don't get easier when more success comes, and everyone can define success in their own terms. But the way I'll define it personally would be is every new door of opportunity that was better than the last one you just came through, the humble door. You get a really nice door. Don't expect it to be easy. It's probably going to have a lot more responsibility. It's going to be a lot more deadlines. It's going to be a lot more intensity. But if that is what it takes to keep you on your toes, you feel that it's going to help you evolve.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I've been married 29 years and, come home a bad day. Oh, that happens. She goes, you wanted this. You be careful what you ask for, right? You heard that before, right? So I have to remind myself, that's right. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So it kind of keeps everything in check, for sure.
When you look at the features that you've been able to be in, these are very high-end platforms. What have you learned about being in the peaks and the valleys? Because not everyone always get a chance to see, wow, this work is paying off. But you've been able to experience both. What have you learned between the peaks and the valleys?
That's a good question. Oof. I mean, it's not easy. Like we talked about, it's not easy. I've learned that bet on yourself. If I had to think of something that comes to mind, bet on yourself. Like, I'm going to go all in on myself. Like, I know I'll get out of it to the other side because I'm betting on myself. Right? That's I don't know how else to put it. Like, if I'm going to go into something, I want to put all the chips on my back. Right? I'll take, like Michael Jordan said, I've taken 25,000 shots. I missed whatever the story is, but yeah, he bets on himself. So I want to take that last shot. Right? Give me the ball.
Someone watching this and said, all right, Shmaya, I want you to ask this for Steve Griggs. If someone was trying to prepare themselves to go into business, is there a book that you think they should read, or is there?
It's like when you have your first baby, right, and you take it home from the hospital, right, and it's like they don't give you the book. You got to just figure it out, right? You just got to figure it out. Yeah, there's books and there's everything you can read. And like when I started, there was no podcast like this, no platforms like this. You giving your expertise and people listening. There was none of that. There wasn't even barely the internet, right? I just think that the best experience is just like you say, just getting in the trenches and doing it. Like, I mean, you can read all you want. You can read all you want. I've saw so many people read just read, and never take any action. Like, right? Like, they just don't take any action. If you're new and you're listening to this, if you're young and you're listening to this, take the plunge now, because it just gets harder after you get married and have kids and all. But if you're single and you can take that chance, you have an opportunity to be coming out of your room, do it now. Fail quick. If you're going to fail quick. Absolutely. Get it out of your system and fail, because you're going to fail. You're going to get sued. Like I tell these new guys, I'm going to operate without insurance for a while. Sooner or later, something's going to happen that you're going to need it, right? So you try to protect yourself on the back end of it.
Last question I want to ask is, when you think about education, that is something that it never ends. If anything, you just gave us some great stories of class in session when mistakes happen. But from the education standpoint, what does that look like during the process of scaling your business, as you're learning all these new things, do's and don'ts, maybe forms and practices on the education standpoint? How does that evolve with time as you're scaling?
It just gets more of everything. It's actually harder because now you have, when I first started, it was just me and one guy or whatever. Now it's bigger teams and all that. But it's the communication between the teams and scaling and making sure that everybody's on the same page. Communication is like the one word that pops into my head. Like, if you fail to communicate to your teams in the field and everybody's not on the same page, that's when things can go wrong very quickly. Right. So does that answer your question pretty much? Like, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, education is everything. Like, I'm 65 and I'm on podcasts, right? Like, and I'm on Instagram and I'm learning and constantly trying to keep the edge. Like, I'll get a book, and if I find one sentence in it that helps, it pays for the whole book, right? You just constantly trying to get the edge and look for nuggets, and however you can keep that edge. You got to stay sharp.
Follow up real quick for that is, speaking of staying sharp, when you look at and reflect on your mindset and how you stayed hungry even when failure, hard times came, when storms came in, how were you able to have your core keep you going even when everything around you was falling apart?
Yeah, I mean, some days it's easier than others, right? Some days you feel like someday I like to say, someday I'm the hammer and someday I'm the nail, right? Someday you're getting beat on and someday you're doing the beating. You just have to have that persistency and drive. And it's something that you spoke about, education. I don't know if that can be taught, right? You have to love what you do. Obviously, you know that, but you have to have the drive for what you do. Don't do it for the money, because money's not going to, don't do it for the money, because that's not going to last very long. But you got to do something that you really are passionate about. I'm still passionate about what I do after all these years, because I think part of becoming great is just trying to reach your full potential. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, everybody's like, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to retire and play golf? No, I want to see what else I can do, right? I want to be on that microphone with you hanging out, man. Look at you.
Man, I appreciate it. I mean, that's why we're doing this, man.
I mean, look at you, and you've been doing this consistent for, and I know it's hard, because just showing up and talking here is hard. And you got to edit it and produce it and get people to get the guests lined up. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, I don't know if people really realize it behind the scenes. Just being a guest is a lot of work, but doing what you do is way more harder.
If you want comedy, I didn't delete my older videos on YouTube. You want to laugh? Look at the lighting. My first started video.
Were you nervous when you first came on? Yeah, you were, right?
First came on. You want to get a good laugh? Are you watching this or listening to some podcasts? Go to my YouTube, Refocus Network, and look at the old videos.
But you told me from early on, like, you only were radio for years and years, and then you got on video. How was your first time on? Were you like?
I didn't know what I was doing. I turned the camera on, and I thought I was doing good.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But like, you showed up and you threw it out there no matter what. A lot of people just like, they're going to read books about podcasting, lighting, and never get on that and never do it. You actually did it. You were nervous and you hit that camera record, lights came on, and you started talking. You told me you were an introvert, but you're not. You're not.
I am on some days. And, when the show is on, I guess it goes away, but it comes right back when the show is over.
So you're like a you're a performer. Like when the light, I think people that are in business and like what you do, like you have to practice enough like you do. You're prepared. You got to be prepared. So when those lights come on, it's freaking game time. Like you got to be able to shine when those lights on. That's it. Lights go off, you can go back to being your own self. But when you're on, you got to be on. And I know just by doing this, you're on right now. Like you got to be, your energy has to be up. You have to be on point, right? Because it's tiring, right? I don't know if you don't do more than this in a day, because it definitely, you got to keep your energy level high up.
I'm about to spill my secret sauce. So real quick, while we have you on.
What's the sauce, man? Give me the sauce.
For all those out there who want to start their podcast, first things first, just do it. Start today.
Yes.
Because before you know it, 3 years are going to go by and you're going to become an expert at it. The second thing is you just have to believe that you can. That's about 50% of the problem. It's that we don't believe. We allow fear to basically blind us from our true potential. And what happens is we can't shift our eyes to our potential versus our fear of failing. The thing is, as soon as you turn to what could be in your potential, then the fear fades away. It's like a shadow. You shine some light on that thing, and pretty soon it's going to disappear. That fear is going to go away. And that's truth guiding you to your potential. And I'm sure you can touch on that real quick from a lens of a CEO, because I'm sure you have fear on probably every street before you can get to those big 4 features and those big multi-million-dollar clients. Touch on that. Yeah.
So like you were saying, you just summed up my whole half hour talk about that, about the fear and doing it anyway. Face the fear and do it anyway. You hear that all the time, but to really truly face the fear is to actually just step into it and do it. You know, I remember when I first did my first Instagram. Oh man, this is terrible. Like, actually to this day, I had written a book. I haven't even read it. Like, I don't watch back my videos. That's kind of just weird looking at yourself, right? Like, it's just weird hearing your voice and all that. So I think I would be intimidated, but we just keep putting it out there. Just keep showing up every day and just putting it out there a little bit each day. It's like going to the gym, right? All this stuff sounds cliche, but it really adds up. Like it does. It really helps out. So if you're just sitting there like afraid to take that step, just take a little step. And then the next day, take another step, right? You just keep building off of it, because we didn't start out doing big jobs. They started as small jobs. And then you just build off that. And before you know, you look back 40 years later, wow, I've done thousands of jobs, thousands.
Last thing I want to say, and I want you to tell people the best website they can go to book you and learn more about your resources. But last thing I want to say before we wrap up the show is, in life, you don't get one shot. You don't get to do this over. Like this now.
This is not a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
An old guy told me that one day, man.
It's a window of time.
Yep.
And if we do not take that moment, then it can pass us and we will never get that same moment again. What does that mean for Steve when you reflect on what you've been able to accomplish with your business and execution in the limited space of time that you have?
If an opportunity presents itself, take it. Take it. Just take the opportunity. Like, it may not be the perfect opportunity, but just take it. Don't be afraid to take chance. You got to take some chances, right? Like, you hear it all the time. People that don't take any chances, that don't risk anything, you're not going to get any. Risk versus reward, right? If you're not going to risk anything, that's why we like doing my best jobs are doing the hardest jobs, right? the most difficult job, putting a swimming pool on top of a roof, putting a pool on top of a mountain. Like anybody can just build a patio, but they pay you to do the tough jobs, right? And that I think is what separates you from just everybody else. They pay, what I hear that one time, people pay big money to solve big problems, right? Like that's it.
Man, that's a master class.
Big problem. That's a master class. Right?
I'm gonna watch this myself, man. This is good, man. This is really good. Really good. A lot of wisdom there. Before we go, man, people watching and listening to us right now, what's the best way they can find Steve online? I
mean, you can go to stevegrigsdesign.com, but I think everybody nowadays is on that Instagram. So just DM me at Steve Griggs Design. If you have a landscape question or anything, I mean, listen, I think part about what you do is also giving back, right? Like what you're doing here, it's giving back. So my sons are not in the business. So if I can help somebody else get involved in a career, I think I get more reward out of that, actually.
That's awesome. Well, like always, I want to say to our guest, Steve, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, man. This was a lot of fun.